Is China halting the spread of coronavirus inside of its borders? Since the middle of March, China has suddenly reported less cases. Seeing as how hard other countries have been hit by the virus, it did not make any sense to believe the numbers reported by the communism-fueled China, which is exactly why I felt that I had to dig deeper for answers. Looking now 3 days back to that moment, I am happy that I did. Nothing feels better than seeing the reality when someone proactively tries to obstruct your perception. It all began with a quiet voice telling me that there is no way that the numbers in China were declining the way they were. This was probably a result of understanding that the transmission rate of this specific strain was very high. Population density and general unhygienic way of life of China would contribute greatly in aiding the spread of this strain. However, let's quit the chit-chat and get down to business. Our playful friends at WHO, the World Health Organization, seem to be strong believers of China and its noble and sincere sociological ideologies. Good thing that they can build a convincing and strong case independently without being manipulated by simply speaking out words and showing them selectively hand-picked routes and sites. China's aggressive measures have slowed the coronavirus. They may not work in other countries. I wonder why they might not work in other countries. But the report is unequivocal. I had to look that word up just to see what it means. It means undoubtedly. Nice to see that they are so sure about their claims. China's bold approach to contain the rapid spread of this new respiratory pathogen has changed the course of a rapidly escalating and deadly epidemic, it says. This decline in COVID-19 cases across China is real. Wow, your opinion must be unequivocal. Let's investigate this a bit deeper independently anyway, shall we? First step leading to understanding the whole picture. Knowing that China is a communist state, I knew I had to be clever with the keywords, as communist states like Soviet Union and North Korea display the same characteristics, which is hiding the truth. The fact that their whole country utilizes intranet, which does not allow transmission of information between ours and their world, would surely make my search more difficult. I assumed that I would stumble upon clues by examining sources working directly with their sectors of economy. The first page I landed on fueled my belief. Miller thinks it's critical that investors understand how bad the downturn in China is so that they can read official reports with some healthy skepticism. There's going to be mixed signals sent to markets, he said. Gloom in Europe and the US, but growth in China. That will be very alluring, but it will be wrong. Now I knew what I needed to search for. After adjusting that which I was searching for, I started seeing more images which seemed to satisfy my beliefs, and it was at this point I knew I was going to see everything clearly very soon. This video from New York Times made me realize that I was not alone observing all of this madness of China and WHO. Check it out.
各位观众，晚上好。
晚上好。
晚上好。
晚上好。晚上好。
The Chinese government has one of the most extensive propaganda networks in the world inside the country, but it also aggressively works to influence how it's perceived outside its borders.
Good morning, President Xi!
China has invested billions into bolstering its image abroad. Its state-run news outlets push out messages in English around the clock.
You're watching CGTN.
Live in Beijing from my room.
Washington, D.C.
And its diplomats have flocked to Twitter in the last year. But what happens when this massive PR apparatus has to do major damage control? We analyzed thousands of tweets from Chinese state media and official accounts and found 3 dominant messages China wants to project to the world. Here's what we learned. A novel coronavirus hit the Chinese city of Wuhan in January. Early whistleblowers were silenced. People were angry about a government cover-up.
没有病床，没有医药。 CCTV 讲的那个新闻全部都是假的。
But in the majority of tweets we analyzed, state-owned publications pushed a much more optimistic view, promoting what they said was an effective response. They are sharing videos like this.
说这个方舱医院接收病患以来啊，不仅看病不花钱，吃饭不花钱，还有人组织跳广场舞。
The Chinese Communist Party refers to this as positive energy, only focusing on the bright side of an issue. China did take drastic measures to try and stem the outbreak. But that's the only story China wants the world to see.
Alright, now I'm sure that the exponential growth is continuing in China as well. Double-checking other sources for similar opinions was again fruitful, as The Guardian also seemed to be already speculating them out loud. But now I could feel my thirst for more. I had to see numbers, or else I would go mad from not knowing what the Communist Party of China is hiding from us. Again, repeating the same process for refining the keywords led me to this video. Holy shit. I am a bit unsure whether if to be happy about this or to be scared. Within the same specific set of results, I noticed something which made me create the biggest facepalm I've ever led during my life. Mayor of Florence, Dario Nardella, has suggested residents hug Chinese people to encourage them in fight against the novel coronavirus. Wait, what? What's Italy's rank on the COVID-19 list again? No. This can't be. Surely this one butthole did not. Oh, hell no. Fuck this. I'm not even going to comment this one. What about the numbers though? I still haven't gotten my hands on any numbers. Adjusting the keywords yet again led me to some high-level tinfoil hat stuff posted on Twitter. I have not found verification for what you are about to hear, but it seems to be popping out in several sources at the same time during me recording.
China has lost over 21 million mobile users in the last 3 months. The sharp decline is unusual as Chinese use their phones for pretty much everything.
Cell phones are an indispensable part of life. Only in extreme circumstances would people stop using their cell phones.
Chinese use phones for everything from cashless payments for just about anything to paying rent and transport. But in January and February, 3 Chinese mobile carriers saw a sharp decline in users. Users increased during the same period in 2019, 2018 and 2017.
It can be said without a doubt that the over 21 million drop in user numbers is related to the CCP virus outbreak.
Tong says virus deaths might have contributed to the count. An insider working in China's telecom industry told him that the lost users all met a specific criteria. The accounts they used required no minimum spending and had zero spending activity for the past month. According to the insider, accounts that require no minimum spending make up about 5% of China's total mobile users. Owners of these accounts tend to be in low-income groups in China's Midwest area. Many are migrant workers and college students. China has over 280 million migrant workers and 28 million college students. Assuming that about 5% of them have such accounts and stopped using their cell phones, that's about 15 million. There's still a 6 million gap that can't be explained.
I speculate hundreds of thousands or perhaps 1 million Chinese people have died from the CCP virus. Of course, there will be no account activities after the death, which contributed to the sharp drop in numbers.
Days after the data was released, China's top anti-corruption organ announced changes for the 3 major Chinese carriers. Authorities said the service options were too complex and needed to be refined. But Tong says the data reflects to a certain extent the casualties and economic impact brought by the virus. He said it's likely the Chinese authorities are using the new changes as a cover.
No, I do not encourage you to think that 21 million are dead. Personally, I think this could possibly be something that the Chinese government did in order to suppress the flow of information. But something is definitely wrong with the numbers. Still, after exerting all my effort into finding at least some credible sources, I was unable to find any information which would have been captured by the West for safekeeping the truthful information. This is probably due to the fact that even the Chinese themselves do not know what the reality is, as the government seems to be actively erasing all of the recordings. At this point I was conducting my search in a hazy state of disbelief. This is probably why I came back again to the source of New York Times, which had this video posted on February the 24th.
My purpose is to make sure that all of this information is not lost or deleted.
因为我们是不知道官方什么时候会把什么帖子删掉的，所以我们都是在跟官方比速度。
我们要保存我们的个体的记忆也好，或者是一种集体的记忆也好。
Voices like these from Chinese citizens are very rare. People who are willing to speak out about the government's attempts to control news about the deadly coronavirus. They ask to remain anonymous because what they're doing could put them and their families at great risk. But these people are part of a new wave of Chinese citizens fighting to get the message out in a country that aggressively censors information.
我们有权利说话，然后我们也有权利记下来。
Accounts or messages like these calling for free speech are quickly scrubbed from the internet. Or videos like this, showing people frustrated about life under lockdown. Posted online one day, but gone the next. But the crisis over the coronavirus is changing the landscape, for now at least. Everyday citizens are preserving and reposting information the government doesn't want out there.
I started to collect hundreds and hundreds of screenshots. And then as the outbreak got really bad, I thought it would be important to keep these or to collect and systematically archive this information.
Experts say this kind of digital resistance is happening at a scale they've never seen before.
At the beginning, I was just doing this on my own, and now it's about 100 of us, and we're translating news articles and social media posts that are constantly being deleted right now.
Social media networks like YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter are blocked in China. But internet-savvy people use techniques that allow them to repost censored content to these platforms while staying under the radar of authorities. They're creating a visual archive by preserving videos like this one, showing overwhelmed hospitals. And they're reposting people's personal stories.
没有人关心我们平民老百姓的性命，有钱也买不到药，有钱也买不到病房。
Another taboo Chinese citizens are pushing back on? They're making open and widespread calls for freedom of speech. These were triggered by the death of Dr. Li Wenliang. He was an early whistleblower who warned about the virus and was punished by officials for speaking out. He died in early February from the coronavirus. Right after his death, the hashtag I Want Freedom of Speech started to trend on Weibo, a Chinese social media site. Then it was quickly censored by the government.
Nightmarish. I know. So what are the real numbers which China is hiding? Most new agencies refuse to even estimate. I guess because they are not supposed to relay false information. I do not want to do that either. Some weak-minded individual could permanently render his own underwear useless if he was to hear something he was not ready to hear. That being said, my own intuition would be that the true amount of the already deceased lies somewhere between 100,000 and 700,000 in China. Maybe more. Here's a video posted on LiveLeak on 28th of March, which seems to be a collective opinion of the Chinese people about their government and the way they are handling the situation. So what would be a reasonable reaction to everything we've seen so far? Well, currently now it's obvious that China is using an insane amount of resources to convince us that it has the situation under control and that it is the one country who has the answer for the corona problem and in the position to assist other countries in dealing with this issue. I want to emphasize that this is a narrative which the corrupt regime wants us to believe, and these actions should not distract us from the fact that if there would not have been cover-ups of the outbreak in the first place, the situation now would look very different. Last but not least, I'd like to commemorate those few brave Chinese people who were not afraid to speak against their government and paid the price for speaking the truth. Hopefully enough was done to set in motion the chain of events which would ultimately lead to the replacement of the current regime to a more democratic one. I truly hope that our Chinese brothers who are not afraid of their own greedy and selfish regime would be able to overthrow their leaders and begin the process of healing. Our job in the West is to cut out the rotten parts of the World Health Organization, containing the faulty personas who mislead our people on purpose to further advance China's agenda and propaganda and take care of each other by not helping the virus spread. Let's see what else emerges in the coming weeks. Personally, I am full of hope and optimism and sincerely hope that you are too.